do,
cut.
please.
Okay, that's stop.
ITV and Diet Coke presented Movie Premiere. Looking forward to the summer holidays? To make the most of your time, first check your travel arrangements.
What's the trouble, officer?
The train's being robbed.
You're crazy. Nobody robs trains anymore. I'd say you've been misinformed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where are we going, friend?
We're going up this alley, friends.
Be sure to check the accommodation.
I could live here.
You'll have to think about what to wear.
He's so hip, so hip, she's so hip, so hip, oh my God, I've been abducted by Huey and Dewey.
Attention, Kingward shoppers.
Enjoy a little summer sport.
Oh my God, what have you done now? Philip, this is no time to make a phone call.
Down! Get down!
You think she's dead?
Try to be nice to each other.
Babs. What do you think of this? You like it?
Okay, mister, let's go.
Hey, what are you doing?
Helping you across the street.
I don't need no help.
It's my job.
Oh, wait a minute, son. I know you're just a kid, but if you don't let go of me, I'll break your arm.
My husband worships the ground I walk on! Plenty hears about this! He will explode!
Bye-bye, Barbara.
You could try a meal out.
Fix something to eat. Hope you like Italian.
Spend some time together.
You ready for the big-time young Mr. Hunt?
I think I can handle it.
Wherever you go, don't be sad when it's over. Have you seen what's going on at home?
Go ahead. Make my millennium. It's showtime.
Movies for the summer on ITV.
Today we're going to tell you what you need to make McVitie's Hobnobs. 1, cold and damp for the oats. 2, sunshine for the prime cane sugar. For the oats, insist on jumbo oats for that extra knobbly texture. And prime syrup to hold everything together. Well, here's some I bought earlier.
McVitie's. You have to go a long, long way to find a better biscuit.
Gillette brings you advanced antiperspirant protection for men. Gillette Series ClearGel Anti-Perspirant. Because it's a clear, clean, powerful gel, it goes on smoothly and dries quickly with no white residue to form an invisible barrier of protection. All-day protection against both wetness and odor. Gillette ClearGel Anti-Perspirant. One of the advanced deodorants and antiperspirants in the Gillette series.
excited, going in.
Stop!
Fire at will.
No, stop!
Well, that makes a refreshing change.
Hasta Vista, baby.
Woodpecker, what a refreshing change!
Our honeymoon. Supposed to be going to the south of France. Can't afford it, he said. Story of my life. Can't afford a new car? Well, I just went out and bought one. It was less than 10,000 on the road. It's a golf match. It's got power steering and a CD player. Supposed to be taking me out tonight. But guess what? Can't afford it.
If only everything in life was as reliable as a Volkswagen.
Shell's always been great for miles per gallon. But watch. 2 Peugeots, one filled with Shell, the other with new improved Shell Advanced. Carbon deposits can cut fuel economy, but used regularly, Shell's new patent detergent is even better at cleaning carbon. Here's where even Shell runs out. But new improved Shell goes on and on. New Shell goes miles further.
Did you know that you're my hero? I love the things you do. You're my alter ego. I wanna be like you. I really like the way you move. I really like your style. I wanna do what you do.
Heinz salad cream.
To prove I'm no infantile.
One thing you can't imitate.
About to commence, a celebration of women in music. Channel 4 presents a season of music and documentaries in a feast of sound and vision. Secret Chamber, Women in Music, with an overture to the event in To Mention But a Few, tomorrow at 9 on 4.
Basic appetites in Married with Children.
Mom, we're starving.
Why tell me? Besides, with the Super Bowl coming, your father's taken away our food allowance so he can buy his own snacks for the game.
Arrested by a friend in the bill.
What have you done, Polly? You left an 18-month-old child. Your child soaked in pee on his own in danger.
Then highlights of the World Cup Group B match, plus live reaction as the Irish side complete their first phase. Tuesday on ITV.
Chuck is finally exonerated, but now he begins to count the real cost. Street legal is at 10:40, but now it's 10 o'clock.
From the headquarters of ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
Prince Charles says he was faithful to Diana until... Major defends European veto and says he'd do it again. The rail talks at ACAS go on into the night. And Bates goes out on another day of Wimbledon sensation. Good evening. News at 10 learned tonight that the Prince of Wales has admitted publicly for the first time that he was unfaithful. The confession is implicit in an answer the Prince gave for an ITV documentary to be screened on Wednesday. He says he was faithful until his marriage had irretrievably broken down. In the same programme, Prince Charles says that as king, he'd be happy to be considered defender of faith in general, rather than defender of the faith, that is the established Church of England. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Owen reports.
Never before has a member of the royal family talked so frankly.
A programme which has been a year and a half in the making will be shown on Wednesday evening, a detailed look at the life of Prince Charles, complete with his views about a wide range of subjects.
Charles, the private man, the public role.
The makers of the Central Television documentary for ITV have struggled to keep the content secret. It's already been revealed, though, that Charles, on succeeding his mother, wants to lay less stress on ties with the established church. He thinks that with Britain now a society of many faiths and ethnic groups, it'll be time to redraw the laws which bind the sovereign to defend the one faith of the Church of England. Most interest, though, will be in what Charles says about Diana, about the marriage which ended in separation in December 1992. ITN now understands that in Wednesday's film, Charles is asked if he was faithful to the Princess of Wales. Yes, he tells the interviewer, Jonathan Dimbleby. Then he pauses and adds, until it became clear that the marriage had irretrievably broken down. When that happened is not apparently spelled out, but the unhappiness of the royal couple was pretty clear. This was during a visit to South Korea near the end of 1992. In constitutional terms, the personal behaviour of monarchs does matter. Quite specific vows are made, as here at the 1953 coronation, to defend a religion which disapproves of adultery.
Sovereign Lady, Queen of this realm, and Defender of the Faith.
25 years ago this week, the Queen invested Charles as Prince of Wales. He wants his reign as king being one in which all faiths would be defended.
Prince Charles hasn't broken the Constitution, but he has broken, if you like, conventions of decency, and he's created one hell of a problem for him and the House of Windsor.
Wednesday's film also mentions Camilla Parker Bowles, someone the Prince is known to care for deeply. He describes her in the documentary as a dear friend. All the fuss about his marriage has not done Charles much good, not done the monarchy much good. His supporters hope that this week's programme will help restore his reputation. Even a Prince of Wales can't be sure what the public will make of 2.5 hours intense scrutiny of his life. Nicholas Owen, News at 10, Buckingham Palace.
Mr. Major made a strong defence today of his veto of the Belgian Prime Minister Jean-Luc Dehaene as President of the European Commission. He told MPs that if necessary, he'd use the veto again. Mr. Major said being a good European didn't mean signing up to everything our partners proposed. Labour, Liberal Democrat leaders and Sir Edward Heath criticised him. Most of his backbenchers chaired him. Our chief political correspondent, Glyn Mathias, reports.
The Prime Minister intends to maintain his controversial stand over who should be the next President of the European Commission. He said he won't back down over the blocking of the Belgian Jean-Luc Dehaene and is demanding that Britain should now be involved in active consultations over alternative candidates. His party was in buoyant mood over the use of Britain's veto. Whatever the pressure from the Germans, John Major said he wouldn't change his mind.
Other European countries indicated that they could accept Mr. Dehaene. I maintained my position that we could not. I reiterate that position in this House today.
After the previous climb down over European majority voting, this was what most of his party wanted to hear.
The decision that he took in Corfu on the presidency at the weekend was not only right, but courageous and popular.
But the opposition parties described the summit not as a triumph, but as a humiliation.
Events this weekend show not that the Prime Minister is strong, but that he is weak and a prisoner of his Eurosceptics.
His attempts to portray the Punch and Judy farce at Corfu as Henry V at the Battle of Agincourt with himself in the title role is, to say the least, deeply unconvincing.
Only Ted Heath voiced the doubts of pro-European Tories, asking how the crisis would be resolved.
The fact that he considered himself forced to use the veto is a matter for regret and not for rejoicing.
The problem for the Prime Minister is that any alternative candidate might prove to be just as unacceptably federalist as the man he vetoed. Downing Street insisted he was ready to use that veto again. Glyn Mathias, News at 10, Westminster.
So, will Germany and France continue to champion the cause of Jean-Luc Dehaene as Commission President? Tonight, their foreign ministers suggested that they would. They said they saw no reason to find an alternative candidate, although Chancellor Kohl showed some signs today of bowing to Britain's veto. Here's our diplomatic editor, James Mates.
Headlines all over Europe spoke of Britain isolated once again. Those in France and Germany were particularly vitriolic, but the message from London was unequivocal. Belgian Prime Minister Jean-Luc Dehaene is not going to become President of the European Commission. He doesn't quite seem to believe it. He says he's still available. Nor, it seems, does the German Foreign Minister Klaus Kinkel, who met his French counterpart this afternoon. They say that Mr. Dehaene remains the only candidate, although, of course, they have no power to override the British veto. The German Chancellor, Helmut Kohl, was more conciliatory, hinting that he would now abandon Dehaene and start the search for new candidates. But amid the recriminations, questions about how Europe got itself into this mess. The Belgians today said Britain had given them no warning that it was about to veto their Prime Minister's candidacy. But Foreign Office officials say that in the weeks leading up to the summit, senior British diplomats had warned the Belgians, French, Germans and the Greeks who were hosting the summit that Jean-Luc Dehaene would not be acceptable to Britain. Douglas Hurd gave that message in person to the French Prime Minister and the Greek Foreign Minister. They concluded simply that British warnings had not been taken seriously. On the streets in Germany, there was little sympathy for Britain's view.
I doubt whether it's a very wise decision to veto the answer of, or the vote of 11 other states.
He started to be a better European than Mr. Thatcher was, so now he's not such a good European anymore.
The affair will have done little for Britain's standing in Europe, but at the same time, Britain was not alone in wanting to show the French and the Germans that they can't simply decide these issues between themselves.
The countdown's begun to another rail strike on Wednesday, but both sides in the dispute are still talking tonight at the conciliation service ACAS. At the start of the meeting this afternoon, rail track managers appeared to be a long way from meeting the demands of the signal workers, but there was a mood of determination to try to break the deadlock. Our industrial correspondent Mark Webster reports.
Travelling down from their annual conference in Liverpool, the union's negotiators held out little hopes of a settlement. Their main sticking point remained money up front for past productivity gains. And though Railtrack's management had been talking up the chances of success, they said they were merely clarifying the package they'd first put to the unions a week ago.
There was a new package put to the trade unions on Monday. Clearly there is some confusion on that package as a result of comments made by the trade unions. I hope that some clarification this afternoon we can see then a way forward.
But the unions want assurance that none of the 4,600 signalling staff will be